If you listen to my channel, you know that I criticize black men for accepting their own oppression and not standing up for themselves as men. I have been wondering when a black man was actually going to stand up for himself as a man. One finally did.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court must.
There have been plenty of times that I have been screwed over by judges, and I wanted to do the exact same thing. I have literally stood in court wondering if I could jump that high. I end up controlling myself and not doing it, but I feel like shit for not standing up for myself. People can say that there are other ways of defending yourself. They can say that he could have filed an appeal. The reality is that in most cases, filing an appeal is a complete waste of time and money. These judges don't follow the law and they're all in on it. They know that their decisions are going to be upheld on appeal. They also know that they are protected with absolute immunity. For all intents and purposes, judges are above the law. The judiciary is the most corrupt and lawless branch of government. They don't make decisions based on the letter of the law. They make decisions based on the color of the law. They are human beings just like everyone else. They are power hungry and abusive. They bring their own biases and prejudices into the courtroom. They sit there in their ivory towers, callously passing judgment on the little people with no empathy or regard for how their decisions affect other people's lives. They are sociopaths who don't see you as human beings. People need to stop saying that this black king attacked the judge. He was defending himself. This black king was not the aggressor. Judges are violent thugs. All acts of government are predicated upon violence. All government action is enforced either by taking your money/property through threat of violence, throwing you in a cage through threat of violence, or deleting you through actual violence. Government is not based on consent. Since government authority isn't based on consent, I don't see it as legitimate. There are black men who get the death penalty who stand there like pussies and don't even defend themselves. You're going to die anyway. What's the point in still showing respect to these seditionist judges? If it was anyone else, you would defend yourselves. When the government does it, you just accept it. This king was already getting screwed over. The entire system is against him. What was he supposed to do? None of you would have done anything to help him. It was him against a system which has a monopoly on the use of physical force. In a state of nature, there is not an animal on the planet who would stand there and accept an imminent threat of physical violence without defending itself. Human beings have the unique capacity of being indoctrinated into believing that slavishly accepting their own annihilation is in their rational self interest. What he did was natural law. The government is far more violent than the people they throw in cages. Just because you don't see the violence doesn't mean that the threat of violence isn't the basis for the entire system. Judges are not public servants, they are our oppressors. I actually think that it's cowardly and disgraceful for judges to routinely order wanton acts of violence while relying on others to do their dirty work. If judges want to commit gratuitous acts of violence, they should have to do it themselves. I don't feel sorry for her one bit. This was probably the only real consequence she has ever faced in her entire career. There is no telling how many lives she has destroyed. She has a whole violent and unjust system on her side. She put herself at the helm of a violent enterprise and order acts of violence to be carried out by men. This is a very violent woman. She experienced the same consequence any man would face in a similar position. To think otherwise is sexist. While I'm sure that most people wouldn't agree with me, I don't see it the way that you do. In my eyes, this is a king, and I'm not calling him a king. This is a real king. This is a sovereign man who actually has some self respect, self esteem, and self worth. We need to find out where he is located so we can put money on his books and schedule him for conjugal visits. I absolutely hate the fucking violent, oppressive government, and I will always side with the common man. Power to the people. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.